do you know what time of year it is?
Oh, we're going to be audited again.
No, one better. It's Halloween!
Oh!
Come and help me put up these...
Santa's coming.
No!
Yeah. What are you going to ask for in your stocking?
A new friend. Ah! Did you just touch my bum?
No.
Well, there's nobody else here.
Well, it wasn't... Maybe the flat's haunted.
By a pervert phantom.
Yeah, like in that book.
I don't think that's how that story goes.
Ah, actually it did, yeah. It was exactly...
Pretty sure it was a metaphor.
Definitely the one that I rented. Phantom of the Opera is a game about a pervert. Somebody at the opera house is terrifying guests, and it's your job to find out who by carefully arranging and rearranging those guests to see who can be left alone and who can't leave alone. Or if you're the Phantom, it's your job to terrify people so much that they leave, thereby winning yourself the game and making yourself a terrible person. Quite how the terrifying mechanic works is not really explained. It's not actually said what it is that you're doing that terrifies people so much, so it's probably best left to the imagination.
But how you get away with doing it certainly is explained in this slim rulebook. At the start of the game, the Phantom player will be dealt a character. This is the identity of their Phantom. Then, players take turns shuttling characters around the opera house with the inspector trying to figure out which character is the Phantom in a tricky game of deduction.
You see, the Phantom can only do whatever it is they do when they aren't being watched. That means they have to be alone in a room somewhere in the opera house, or they can be in an unlit room with other characters, but players take turns shuffling characters around the opera house, moving them from room to room, and ideally the Phantom player will want to isolate their Phantom so they can perform their operatic onanism, but they'll also want to try and isolate other characters, keeping them separate so it's more difficult to tell who the Phantom is.
What's important is at the end of every round the inspector player will ask the Phantom if he can Phantom. Let's say he can't. Here's what happens next. The inspector is able to clear everybody who was alone and could have Phantom. Everyone in the dark room who could have Phantom, meaning your Phantom is one of these three characters. A disaster for the Phantom because they win by driving this scream token all the way to the end. If there are only three characters remaining, it only moves a pitiful 3 spaces. And this, knowing this, is when movement gets quite cool, because each character can only move once each turn. So if you move the blue lady who moves the padlock, or the black, even diva, who suctions all characters towards her, that is something you've denied the other player.
So all this shuffling people around and screaming is sort of like musical chairs, but without any chairs. Or music, and just with mental trauma, and a possible sex offender. It's a simple concept and it doesn't take very long to learn, but all the special powers do give you some depth to sink into and the chance to make sneaky manoeuvres. If you're the Phantom, you can carefully bluff your way about the board, and it's quite nice. It's quite nice. You all scuttle about the opera house, being terrified, wondering what exactly it is the Phantom does while they're alone in the room. Like if they're just doing a poo, maybe.
Yeah, see, my problem with this is that it doesn't actually involve any bluffing or lying or guessing, because the inspector has to disprove the identity of everybody but one before he wins. And if the Phantom can Phantom, then he must be a big pervert. Am I making any sense?
Yeah, you are. Go on.
Yeah, right. So the theme and the idea, it has this general air of mischief, like you're huffing a big bag of marker pens. But in actuality, it's just quite a nice logic puzzle. You know, it's like you have to collect evidence. It's like being a real policeman.
As opposed to being a fantasy policeman.
Yeah, or like being a real pervert.
As opposed to a fantasy pervert.
Yeah. So I guess if you want a 2-player game that's quite nice, you could buy this.
You could. So
it's something you could do.
I'm right, great. No, I'm really pleased with that. That's a spooky Halloween review in the bag. Excellent. Well done. Well done.
Paul, do you ever get the feeling that our Halloween checklist might be missing something?
No, it's got a spider on it.
Yeah, but Halloween is about more than tasks, you know. Halloween is about feeling unsafe. We should go to the creepiest place in London.
We already live in Lewisham.
It's midnight. It is the perfect time to go out and have a spooky adventure.
No. Last time I went out, you know this, I got mugged.
For the last time, he was a busker.
Right, okay, the panpipes looked very dangerous. He was quite aggressive. I think they were loaded.
I'm not having this. I am going out. No, sod this Phantom of the Opera nonsense. We're going to do a properly scary review.
But Quinn, stay safe.
Alright, forget ghouls and goblins, forget vampires and werewolves. Let's look at the game of a monster who really existed. A stone's throw from this very spot in 1888, the body of one Mary Jane Kelly was found. You can find the official police photograph on Wikipedia. We won't be posting it here. Her throat was slit to her spine. The organs of her abdomen were removed. Jack the Ripper even found the time to remove her heart. Which isn't the most disturbing thing about Jack the Ripper, which is that he was never caught.
Letters from Whitechapel is a game of terrible skill and tension where one player takes the role of the Ripper and up to 5 others will play police officers trying to hunt him down. Now the first thing you'll see out of the box is this map, a detailed, delicate representation of Whitechapel, the area of London where the Ripper murders occurred, real side streets, real locations, and you'll start the game with the Ripper noting down one of these spots as his hideout. And the game from then on is broadly simple. Every night the Ripper will commit another murder and then he'll try to escape, he'll try to slink back to his hideout while the police desperately try to trace him to catch him before he does so. Now the Ripper can only move, he must move, 1 space at a time. However, the police can move 0, 1 or 2 spots. When they get to a new spot, they can ask if the Ripper has been to anywhere adjacent. In time, perhaps the Ripper will say, yes, I have been there. And so down goes a yellow token showing the Ripper's path. And gradually, with time, if the police are good, if they're really good, they'll trace a nicotine-stained path slowly, surely back to the Ripper's hideout.
Are you at 127?
143?
That's impossible. What makes Letters from Whitechapel a great Halloween game isn't just its theme, even though that theme is delivered impeccably with a gorgeous board, a generous quantity of wooden components, even notes on the Ripper case scrawled in the margins of the manual. What makes it a great Halloween game, perhaps ironically, is that the person playing Jack the Ripper will have a terrifying night, as he'll try and commit 4 murders and then get home, always pushing his luck as the police get a better and better idea of where he lives. And for the police, it'll be tremendously tense too, because they'll go plunging into dark alleyways knowing the Ripper will be there. They'll search for clues and find nothing. And then they'll encourage their friend to search some other alleyway, and they'll also find nothing, as if he were a ghost.
Of course, this theme wouldn't also suit if it didn't give Jack a few surprises to keep up his sleeve. These are movement tokens including carriages, which allow him to move up to 2 spaces, and alleyways, which allow him to cross an entire city block in 1 move. Both of these can be used to escape the police who might be walling him in, and he has to play the tokens and note them down on his little sheet. But is it a bluff? Is he really escaping? Should you spread the net? Or is he still there in the middle laughing as you flee in the wrong direction?
Is she gone?
She's gone back around, I swear to God.
Or she might have...
She could be in 129 or 71 right now.
Any more bright ideas, officer?
No. This is a dangerous game indeed. My favourite mechanic is that if the police are ever sure of where Jack is, they can forgo everything else in their turn to make an arrest. And this is shooting the moon. You pinpoint one location, and if Jack's there, that's game. But if you're wrong, your turn is wasted. He could be one other space away. You wouldn't know. And this means the police lead slips through their fingers, keeping the game on a knife edge.
Moved.
Red, get back up here and check these. I don't want her slipping through this.
It's your move.
I'm going back to 77. I'm resting her. Resting whoever lives there.
Letters from Whitechapel isn't the only game to feature hidden movement, to have players chasing one another around the board. You may have heard of Scotland Yard, which is another game of chasing crooks across London, and which is also fine, probably. And you may have heard of Fury of Dracula, which we've mentioned before, a game where players grab guns and garlic and they bother Dracula across Europe. Fury of Dracula is more complex. It has traps and fights and naps and bites, with mechanics for the time of day, for face-offs against Dracula, for Dracula healing himself after a ruckus. It's not just a game of finding Dracula, it's a game of beating him up once you do so. In comparison, Letters from Whitechapel is less complex, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, because it's faster, cleaner, simpler. Fury of Dracula is also out of print, which is a problem. To find a Dracula, you'll need to find the game second-hand first.
If you're after still more hidden movement, we also recommend Escape from the Aliens in Outer Space, a simple, cheap game where everybody is moving secretly and cut into teams of aliens and humans. But the aliens only reveal themselves when they announce they're eating whatever hex they're on, sometimes eating other aliens. Mostly though, it's just a game of noises, and then everyone either running to or away from those noises in the dark. Speaking of noises...
We probably have a bias towards hidden movement games, but everything that we've mentioned tonight is a damn good, damn exciting experience. A way to play hide and seek at your own living room table. So do we recommend Letters from Whitechapel? Absolutely. It's a devilish game of double bluffs, of deception, of alleyway escapes, of daggers in the dark. Bloody Quinn's having his fun. I've just shat myself. I hope you're happy you've had your fun. You've just taken 6 years off my life. Quinn's?
Hey, Paul, I just missed my bus. I'm not going to be home for a while.
Well, who did I just let in? Quinn's, I think I've let someone into the house. I think there's someone...
Oh! It's only me! Oh my god, is this not the best Halloween ever? Did I not give you the scare of a lifetime? I'll say I did. Paul? Come on, you gotta admit that was